Good morning, the April 17th. Here I am. Good morning, the April 17th, 2025 meeting of the Charter Authorization Panel is called to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Arkansas Department of Education and ask that you please silence all of your electronic devices. The goal is to facilitate a fair and responsible hearing, so therefore I ask that each person speaking please state your name and title each time you speak into the microphone for the record. I ask that you continue to speak clearly into the microphone throughout your presentation for the benefit of the panel, the audience, and the viewing audience. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and a transcript of the meeting will be posted on the DESE website. So again, good morning. Good morning to all my panel members. We do have some joining us online as well. So good morning, Dr. Duncan. I see you're there. And so first, we have a consent agenda before you today. So I'm going to give you all an opportunity to review that, see if you have any questions or any corrections to that before we move forward.
Yes, Dr. Rock McMurray, I just noticed one little issue with the minutes from our special CAP meeting in the section on April 14th. The section on adjournment, it mentions that you requested a motion to adjourn with a second by me. It left out the fact of who made the motion. I believe that was Ms. Newton. Does anyone else recall?
It was.
Okay. So just in the adjournment, it needs to say that Ms. Newton made the request prior to me seconding that request.
Okay. So it looks like I have nods that they've made that note, so they'll make that correction.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any more corrections or comments needed on the consent agenda? Looking at the board. Okay. So before I entertain a motion, I would like to have Mr. Daniel Schultz come up and give us a legal overview of the procedures for today. And then we have some other things we need to get to after that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Daniel Schultz, Department Counsel. So the traditional overview is that items to be considered on the action agenda are to be given 20 minutes for the presenter to make their presentation to you. 20 minutes also to be allotted to collectively any opposition to that action, and with a 5-minute rebuttal from the moving party. And then, of course, this panel would have the opportunity to ask questions of all concerned, and would take action. So,
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I think we'll see you here in a little bit again.
All right, look forward to it.
Okay, thanks. So before we do any motions or vote on the consent agenda, we did receive a request from Hope Academy. They would like to come and have an opportunity to speak to the panel. So at this point, Ms. Rebecca Mitchell, if you please come off mute. I think she's joining remote.
My name is Ashley.
And stand and raise your right hand. And I'm trying to scroll through. Is she on with us yet?
I see her as A. Inslow, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Okay, yep, I see you. So before you get started, if you would please stand, raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So it looks like that you have worked out with the charter office that you'd like to have an opportunity for about 3 minutes to visit with us, and so you may proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Just want to take the opportunity to thank not only this panel, but the Department of Education for the opportunity for our 5-year charter that we had with Hope Academy up in Bentonville, Arkansas. We have learned a lot during this 5-year charter that we've had, and we were able to serve a lot of youth and families throughout that. We are asking that the charter be closed, not because we are done helping children. We want to take that model, and we would like to move it to more of a shared services model. So we have been operating these past 5 years where the children come onto our campus, and we are looking to serve more children with the skills and the experience that we've had through this 5-year charter. So what that looks like moving forward is we will be going into public school, pre-K through 12 grade schools throughout the state of Arkansas, and providing some pillars for those school districts. We're looking at providing some behavioral intervention based off what we learned through working with our trauma youth here at Hope Academy, and really helping support those behavioral interventions that the public schools are needing when we're dealing with kids who are experienced or have experienced trauma. We also we know and see the wraparound services that are important to families. And so we're going to be providing family support in these schools just like we have through Hope Academy. And we've learned that that's really pivotal. The only way that child is able to make gains is by having those full wraparound services and being consistent both at school and at home. So we're excited about that opportunity. The last part of that is we also want to share our knowledge that we've learned through this charter and the experience that we've gained with other professionals in the field. So we will be taking what we've learned and training local school districts and these professionals of how to best deal with youth or kids that have experienced trauma, how to deal with these big behaviors, and more so also just be the support to prevent burnout. We know that this profession is getting tougher by the day, and so we want to be able to wrap around the teachers and the paraprofessionals that are doing those services every day in and day out in our public schools, to be able to provide them with training and support to prevent that burnout and whatnot. So that's just a little bit about what we wanted to share today. Again, we thank you for the opportunity these last 5 years. I think the knowledge that we've gained is it's priceless, and we are going to take that knowledge and move on and serve more children across the state. So thank you guys.
Okay. And thank you for that update, and we wish you all the best in your next steps. And again, we appreciate all the work that you've done thus far. Thank you. So with that, I will now accept a motion on the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Baldwin and a second by Dr. Moore. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? No? Okay, great, motion passes. Okay, so Mr. Schultz, so if you would please come back up and give us an overview of the procedures for the action items that we're getting ready to cover. But I think you've already done that, maybe, I'm not sure. I'm following my script as written, so.
I need to get on that script. Yes, ma'am. What I had understood my role earlier was the action agenda instructions, other than the swearing part, which I failed to mention, but you covered anyway.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So with that, now Mr. Wood is going to come forward and give us some details about what we're getting ready to hear from some of our charters.
Dustin Wood, State Director of School Choice, Arkansas Department of Education. Good morning. Feels like it's been so long since I've seen you all. Yes, Madam Chair. First off today on the action agenda, Founders Classical Academy is seeking to have a name change to their charter. They are asking to be renamed to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas.
Okay. So before Founders Academy begins, could you please, anyone who is going to be speaking on behalf of that, if you would please stand, raise your right hand. Okay. All those giving testimony today on behalf of Responsive Ed, if you could, do you swear that the testimony or your statement you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, great. Okay. So who's coming forward?
Good morning. I'm Susan Provenza, Superintendent for Responsive Ed Arkansas, and for the past 12 or so years, I have also overseen our Founders Classical Academies. I am here today to request just a simple name change to that charter, Founders Classical Academies of Arkansas. It's very particular to our classical models, and our rationale for changing the name to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas is in order to be a little bit more in alignment with our parent organization and how we name things in other states, but then also to give us the opportunity in the future to potentially have some high quality charter models that are not just classical models within that charter. That's it. It's not 20 minutes.
Okay. I wasn't thinking it was gonna be, if it was, I was like, she's
You're like,
really
"Ooh,
gonna
she
get
got a lot
some
to say."
details.
Yeah.
No, thank you. At this time, do we have any questions from the panel in regards to the amendment request? I don't see any online.
This is Crystal Bashirs Duncan.
Okay, there she is. Okay.
I just have one question regarding the name change, community involvement in that. In any name changes in the past that you've had that you might consider, and how that may be incorporated with your community and staff.
Sure. So looking forward, I mean, really, it's that opportunity for us to be able to think about things other than just the classical model. We have families and stakeholders who have expressed to us that they would like to see some additional things that maybe aren't quite as classical, particularly in the high school area, involving some more CTE, involving a lot more concurrent credit and things like that. And we just want to be able to keep that opportunity open.
And thank you so much. So really, stakeholder thinking is a part of your decision. Any other recent name changes and how you all have navigated that you might offer?
We had some name changes several years ago, and that was because when we initially opened our school in Bentonville, we were Northwest Arkansas Classical Academy, and we had separate schools that all had separate charters, and then when we lumped them into one charter, we changed it to Founders Classical Academies. And then now, because we want to expand just beyond classical at some point, that's why we're doing that. So yeah, we have had some changes in the past, but that's the rationale for it.
Thank you. And it sounds like that is being communicated with your stakeholders.
Yes.
Thank you for providing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Schultz, are there any legal concerns with the request we need to be aware of?
Sorry.
I suppose I should say this live since I think there are some people online, but no, ma'am, no concerns.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Are there any more questions from the panel? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on the request.
I move to accept the name change from Founders.
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion by Ms. Stewart, a second by Mr. Baldwin. Any discussion on the motion? No? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So if you'll give us a chance to get to our voting sheets. Okay, so if we could now share how we responded on our voting sheets. I will start with Mr. Baldwin.
Yes, I voted in favor of the amendment request to change the charter name from Founders Classical Academy to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stewart?
I vote for the name change from Founders Classical Academies of Arkansas to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas, as it'll increase their ability to offer a larger portfolio of classes for their students and community.
Okay. Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve the amendment request, as the name change will better align with future plans for the charter's growth and fulfillment of its mission.
Okay. Dr. Bashir Duncan?
I vote in favor, given stakeholder involvement, for the name change from Founders Classical to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas.
Dr. Moore?
I vote to approve responsive amendment request to change the name of Founders Classical Academy of Arkansas to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas.
Okay. And I voted in favor. I support Responsive Ed's Founders Classical Academy's request to change their name to College Preparatory Academies of Arkansas. The change will allow them to become more responsive to their students' academic and career readiness needs. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have an amendment request of open enrollment public charter Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock. Little Rock to relocate the existing grades 6 through 8 campus to a new campus and add a new campus building. So, Dr. Smith, will you please come forward and please share details about this request?
Good morning, everybody, members of the Charter Authorizing Panel. Today we have representatives from the Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock here to present 3 proposed amendments to their current charter. First request is to relocate grades 6 through 8 to a new facility. The second is to add a new high school campus in grades 9 through 12. And the third request is to increase their overall enrollment cap to accommodate the planned growth. These will require 3 separate votes, so we'll take them in sequence, I think. At this time, I'll invite the Exalt team to present their amendment request and provide any supporting information for the panel's recommendation.
Okay. Right. Thank you. And then before you get started, if all that are going to be giving testimony today on behalf of Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock, please stand and raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear the testimony or statement you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so presenter Ms. Long?
Yes.
Okay, right. You may begin.
Good morning, Tina Long, Superintendent of Exalt Academy. Thank you so much for taking the time to review our materials and hear our presentation today. We're really excited about the proposal. So, is this click down? Let's see. Okay. So, part 1 of the proposal is just a little bit about Exalt. We know we've been around for a little while, so we're not going to take a lot of time to talk about our academic models and what we do, but we are going to spend a little time just talking about our success over the recent years. So first, we have our mission statement, and our mission is that we serve educationally underserved areas of Southwest Little Rock, preparing our students for competitive colleges and advanced careers from an early age by ensuring a mastery of core subjects and developing key behaviors required for success, citizenship, and leadership in our community. We have a really strong governing board. Our governing board meets monthly, reviews all financial oversight. We have 2 bankers on our board, in addition to a judge and many community members and leaders of schools. So our board is very active and involved in the governance and oversight of the school. Currently, we have 775 students in grades K through 8, and our demographics are a little different than the Little Rock School District and the state of Arkansas, but very specific to Southwest. So 70% of our children are English language learners. I believe that's the highest population of English language learners in the state of Arkansas. We are also at 96% free and reduced lunch. So as far as our academic growth since the inception, actually, of ESSA, Exalt Academy has always beat the state's growth expectations. And this year was our highest score ever for growth. So we are at 84.81 with our growth our growth score. As far as rankings are concerned, we were 83rd out of all public schools, so top 9%. 94th percentile for overall growth in middle school. The 88th for math and English combined growth. 74th percentile for math, and the 96th percentile for ELA growth. Something that's really important to us is our talented and gifted program. We actually have a state-approved talented and gifted program for kindergarten all the way through 8th. This is really exciting because talented and gifted is often underrepresented in our population, specifically when you're combining English language learners with talented and gifted. So our talented and gifted program actually ranked second highest growth for schools of our size and third for all schools overall. And these are the awards that we received, so I just want to take a moment to stop and thank the Office for Educational Policy. I know all of us that keep close eye on our academic rankings can't wait for this report to come out, and it's a big celebration for us every time, so we really appreciate their work. We also put some additional data in outside of the state data, which is the NWEA. NWEA is a nationally normed test, so students all across the country take this test. These are the results for our middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th. All three subjects, math, reading, and science. And these are our growth national rankings. So overall, nationally, our students are growing in the 95th percentile for all three subjects nationally. Something that we pride ourselves at Exalt Academy, and probably what we're known for, is our positive behavior reinforcement system and how we handle being a safe school. So our goal is just to minimize all distractions and make sure that the environment is an environment where kids feel safe and supported and ready to succeed. So I put some suspension data in just from surrounding schools around us. The first column is enrollment. So you can see schools about the same size as ours, and then their out-of-school suspensions versus their expulsions. So last year, Exalt only had 29 suspensions for the entire school year, compared to the school that's right next to us that had 575 with 0 expulsions. So our current enrollment cap that we have right now assigned to us is 1,080 students. But we are serving 775 because we are using every square foot of our facility and being very creative in how we're doing it. So part 2 is that we need more space. So right now in our current facility, we have one gymnasium that's also our cafeteria for all 775 students. We have 12 staff members without any office spaces, and we have 6 mobile teachers, which means they actually teach in other teachers' classrooms during their prep time, and there is no room to grow to our full enrollment cap. So what we're in need of is classrooms. We need more classroom space. In addition to common areas, learning labs, we have starting an East initiative, and we have Project Lead the Way, so science labs are big for us. That is a big need for space. So our solution is to purchase and renovate the Cloverdale School, which is right next to us. So here's the map. The building that is the green-looking building is Cloverdale, and then the neon green sign is ours. So you can see that the only thing separating us is a really small kind of alleyway type street. It's literally in our backyard. Like, it's right next to us. So the location just couldn't be more perfect, and it allows us to stay very deeply rooted in our community. So for us, we have been really good stewards of our money. We actually purchased and will be paying off our current mortgage note in April, which we're very excited about. The second building that we lease, that lease will end in July. It will no longer be necessary with the Cloverdale purchase, and we don't have any other debt, so we're completely debt-free other than our mortgage note. So the cost savings after July is very neutral. By the time we eliminate the lease and we pay off our mortgage, it's about the same cost combined as the Cloverdale mortgage. I provided the term sheet for both of you, and then I also submitted an updated budget yesterday that had the detail behind it, in addition to just the budget. So the Cloverdale campus was designed for a school. It was made for a school. So for us in Charter World, you know, we're always like makeshifting schools into creative spaces. So that's really exciting. There's 54 classrooms, there's science labs, there's room for occupational therapy and physical therapy. Our school has a large arts infusion. So we actually just had an art show last week that was really great. We partner with Crystal Bridges and do a ton of art infusion into all of our general education classes. This will allow us to expand our art offerings. Actually, the Cloverdale has band rooms, an actual like stage for performing arts, so we're really excited to move into that. It also has a nurse's space and an additional cafeteria. It's on 11 beautiful acres with fields and all types of opportunity for students to play and have full athletic programs. So for our renovation, we have done a ton of analysis and due diligence on the building. We've been doing it for 6 or 7 months now. We've had full structural and plumbing analysis, including actually paying to have all of the pipes scoped and cameras run through all the pipes to ensure everything's working well. We are doing upgrades to our lighting for energy efficiency and just visual comfort, and then increasing natural light. The school's quite dark, so we're going to be increasing natural light for just well-being and engagement. There has been a comprehensive safety analysis done of the entire school, and there is one of the major line items in our renovation project is a full life safety system. It's actually not required by law because this building was built prior to the requirement of it, but we're going to put it in anyways, just for the safety of our children. So there'll be a full life safety system, also upgrading cameras and alarms. And we've restructured the entrance. So there's single points of entrance versus multiple ways to kind of come in and out of the building. Also building additional exterior corridors for additional like acts for safety, just more control. It's in our backyard, it's in our community, so this stays really close to home. And Exalt Academy is ready to grow, not just in size, but also in impact with more children. So part 3 brings us to high school, and this has changed slightly since I submitted this. So, with the addition of the AMFRA transfer, there will be additional pathways that will be offered, honoring the AMFRA model and our model to make sure that we're receiving impact from the people we're serving. So this graph shows our children that we surveyed. How many of our children would be interested in high school? Should we offer a high school? Now, I receive almost every other day a parent for the last 5 years saying, when are you going to high school? When are you going to high school? And the time had to be right for us. We were really looking specifically at the financial part of it, which is paying off our building, and that's coming up. So that's what we were really waiting for. The demand is absolutely there. Since the AMFRA announcement, our phone has been ringing off the hook with parents excited about, you're doing high school now, we're so excited, and applications getting ready for high school. So definitely a huge demand. So Governor Sanders and the department have called all schools to ensure that every high school graduate has access to additional credentials, skills, and certifications that they need for today's economy. So our model is really a call to action. So what we will be offering, what we're committed to offering, is the 3 tiers. We will have the high school diploma, traditional diploma, the diploma with merit, and the diploma with distinction. But regardless of what tier that the children take, we will make sure that every graduate has a successful path moving forward, that they have the 75 documented community service hours, that they're CPR certified, and that they have a passing score on the civics exam. So our goals for high school. I know the goals seem a little lofty, but let me tell you why they're set that way. So 50 to 60% of our students will graduate with a diploma with merit. And the number one reason for that is the seal of biliteracy. So our children speak Spanish. So what we've done is we have moved our Spanish, Heritage Spanish and Spanish 1 offerings down into the elementary school to give us their runway. So I think a large portion of our children, not only honoring their own heritage, will be able to be biliterate and earn the seal of biliteracy. So when surveying our students, and this was what was really important to us, is all of this has been generated by the demand of our students. Nursing, number one, came right out on top. Engineering, banking and finance, architecture, construction was a big one, and computer science. And these not only are great CT offerings, but they're also H2. So we're really excited about that for the pathways. Now, in addition, here's one of the changes that's not in there. We will be honoring the AMFRA military trackway as well as the JROTC. I know those are not H2, but they're the demand of the community and the population, and we want to make sure that those two pathways are also offered. So because of the addition to those pathways, we've been working with Chim Johnston pretty readily this last week. He's been a wealth of knowledge and wonderful to work with. Kind of slow rolling, which of these will go out, kind of one at a time, or first year, there's a lot of multiple classes that they can take in different tracks, but we're trying to not roll everything out at once, but it will be narrow based on the students who are enrolling in the demand of the pathways. So a huge part of high school success, and every elementary school and kindergarten teacher will tell you this, is elementary school. So it starts when they're babies. So this is just beautiful for us to be able to offer a kindergarten through 12th grade full learning continuum, and that will allow us to have the early momentum that we need from our middle school grades. So our current middle school right now offers 5 high school credits. So we are offering English, Algebra 1, Pre-AP World History and Geography, AP Biology and Physical Science, and then Pre-AP Art. As I mentioned, we are starting next year, are now offering Spanish 1 and Heritage Spanish as well. So Exalt students will actually be able to go into high school a full year ahead of their traditional peers. So this is really important for 2 reasons, is that they'll get an opportunity to graduate early or dual enroll sooner. It also gives our students the flexibility in their senior year to take more advanced credentials, certifications, and the apprenticeships. Before I move to that, I want to just note too, because we're serving a large Hispanic population statistically in our city, Hispanic graduation rates are really abysmal. And so the opportunity to graduate early and have that option is a huge thing for our families as well as being able to get into their careers early in high school versus a college option that may seem out of reach for them. So just bringing that closer to home when they're younger. We are going to be offering an extended year, so it'll be on trimesters. That mirrors our current model right now, which is our K-8 model. We have an extended year and have been running that for 11 years now, very successfully. Obviously more instructional learning time. It also brings fewer prep obligations for our teachers. It'll be much easier for credit recovery for students transferring into us to be able to handle a successful credit recovery program. And it's also just more work-based learning opportunities, especially for the upperclassmen. Now, just math and ELA will be offered all year. So honoring our students of Hispanic students, preparing a lot of work with the seal of biliteracy, and then just knowing the advantage of being bilingual. All of us know that, but being bilingual, actually there's tons of research about accessing education across all domains. So here's another change. It's now not starting 26, 27. Now it's starting 25, 26. There's just a huge interest from the community. We have an existing middle school level that is very successful. We have really strong wraparound supports with mental health in our school, academic tutoring, mentorship. We have a commitment to a CTE program as well as college readiness. An innovative success pathway guide we submitted to you, which we're continually doing much more work on it. We thought we had a whole year, so now we're doing a lot of work really fast on it. We have financial support, and then we have a history of strong financial management and clean audits. We've always had clean audits, and our ending fund balance has always, for several years, has been over $1 million. So we have visionary staffing that is just aligned with the Exalt's core models. So we're not starting from scratch. We're building on success and a community that is really ready for this high school model. So our requests before you are to purchase the LRSD campus building, to add high school, and to increase our enrollment cap by 800 students, making the total enrollment cap of 1,880. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you. Before we start with any questions for you, if legal could please come up and let us know of any legal concerns through their legal review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Daniel Schultz, Department Counsel. I think all three of these are policy decisions that are within the discretion of the authorizing committee, so no further concerns.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so panel members, we'll start with questions, and I'll start to my right with Dr. Bacon. You want me to start with somebody else? I can move it around.
I have so many questions, and they're all over the place. But
Okay.
I think I want to start sort of some history. You shared phenomenal success in growth, particularly ELA, and knowing the population you serve. Talk to me about specifically what are you all doing that is getting this great success? I think there's maybe some lessons here for other charter schools and traditional schools.
I appreciate that. We have a explicit instruction academic model paired with our positive behavior reinforcement systems. The combination of those two together is just the key to success. Every single accomplishment is rewarded and recognized and celebrated. All redirections are private and not in the limelight. So we create an environment where success just breeds success, and it's celebrated and happy. Even this week with talking about the opportunity of high school, I was joking because 8th grade students, normally they're like, we can't wait to get out of here, peace, see you later. All of them were like, you're stuck with us for 4 more years. We're like, okay. So it's just a very close environment that way. In addition, it's extremely data driven. So we have coaches at every grade level. So K1-2 has 2 coaches. The 3-5 band has 2 coaches. Our middle school has 2 coaches. There's lead teachers at every single grade level. A really strong PLC community. We know with Hattie's research that teacher collective efficacy is like the #1 driver of student achievement. So that's what we really push. We create a schedule, and we have the room to do it because of our longer day, our longer school year, or there's opportunity for all that collaboration built into the school day. And then just meeting kids right where they're at. So no matter if they're behind or they're ahead, and I actually think that's why the success of our talented and gifted is that they're not only getting it through their enrichment opportunities, but they're getting it in their core instruction too.
And I think you hit on what was going to be my second question, was really about the phenomenal differences in discipline versus some of the other surrounding, particularly middle schools. I mean, you hit on that, but maybe a little more about how you all manage that. I mean, what are you doing for discipline exactly that creates such a different environment?
Mr. Wilson, come on. Mr. Wilson runs school culture for our school, and it's just, he's the school culture on 10 guy all the time.
Good morning, Jesse Wilson, Middle School Principal, Exalt Academy. It's a pleasure to be standing in front of you guys. Honestly, active monitoring. We're visual. We are all throughout the campus during transitions. We just want to make sure that there's that academic or administrative presence throughout our store. We talk about how the importance of academics. We all know that. But honestly, my number one rule is student safety, really pairing our relationships with our families and our communities and making sure that any problem we take a proactive approach as opposed to a reactive approach.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My next question, I'm trying to wrap my brain around what Exalt will look like come August in light of the Monday vote to assign AMFRA. Facility-wise, what exact facilities will you be in for the 25-26 school year?
Mm-hmm. We anticipate staying at the AMFRA campus for the high school, and then the Cloverdale project is going to take some time. So we needed this vote right to finalize closing. We're anticipating closing in May per the agreement that I submitted to you guys. So that's going to take a while to do that project. So we'll stay in our current main campus with the elementary. Eventually, we will be moving a large portion of the elementary over to the Cloverdale campus. We actually have room till about 1,400 students in our current campus, our 3 buildings without the AMPRA facility, but we're working with KLS to make sure that there's consistency and continuity for that charter, so we're remaining there for the time being.
So everything in high school will be where AMFRA is now?
Right now, yes, to start.
Okay, so you'll be, I'm still confused, you'll be in your current facility for what grades?
K through 8 for this year,
Okay.
while renovations are
Okay.
happening at Cloverdale.
Because you weren't planning on doing that until 26, 27,
Right.
yeah. Okay. And so then, once those renovations are complete, your elementary grades will be
Over into
at
Cloverdale. We'll have room in our current facility, and we'll have room at AMFRA.
And so your middle school will stay where you are today?
Probably initially, yes, it
Okay.
probably initially will until it starts growing out. This is a problem I can't wrap my head around, is having extra space
Right.
in a building that will be paid off. Like, that's not charter world for me, so really excited about that.
And so you said that on the building you're in, you have a mortgage that you all have almost paid off.
Yes.
AMFRA, you're absorbing some sort of agreement. I mean, they don't own that building. You don't, I mean, what does that look like as far as financing of that
So
facility?
actually, all contractual agreements we have a no hold harm with it. So we get to start fresh with KLS, and they're working with us on this. So we don't have an agreement in place with them yet, and we'll work through that at the time. But right now, the most important thing was serving the students and the families.
So, and I understand when we voted Monday, that was sort of for the rest of this year, everything sort of stays the way it was. You all are committed to that.
Yes.
So you don't know what you'll be paying for that facility yet?
I don't know whether we'll be paying for that facility yet, but I have a commitment with KLS that it will be very low cost or minimal for the first year because of we have a mortgage we're paying off, and they're very aware of that. That was part of us stepping in and supporting them. They didn't want us to have a double mortgage, so we don't.
And I noticed in here you're working with Equitable Facilities Fund. Tell me about that relationship, and is that specific to
Cloverdale.
the Cloverdale building?
Specific to Cloverdale, and nothing to do with AMFRA because we didn't know about that. So we were working with them. So they're funding the purchase as well as the entire renovation project.
Okay. And what kind of covenants did you agree to with them? I know they require specific covenants about enrollment, financing, other things. I mean, just performance. I'm just curious.
So we haven't received covenants as far as performance or enrollment per se. We've done because we're not at that stage yet. What we've done right now is all of the due diligence on our historical data, our financial management, all of that. We've submitted enrollment projections, which are 1080, because that's what our cap is 1080. That was all prior to this. All of our projections within the 1080 budget and that facility alone are completely within their 5-year pro forma. So they are comfortable with all of that.
Okay. And they're aware of this change and
Oh, yeah.
taking on the new. And
I'm talking to
Yeah,
EFF every day.
Yeah, I bet you are. I bet you are. Yeah. So thinking forward, I told you I'm all over the place with my questions. So thinking about, my questions have changed from where they would have been before Monday. So you sort of have a built-in high school population.
Yeah.
The 9th, 10th, 11th graders that are at AMFRA, you're recruiting to stay, assuming, many of them will stay. You're adding 12th grade, I guess. That was what AMFRA's plan was. Are you adding 12th this year?
Yes, sir. And one interesting thing is AMFRA's only 2 miles from us. So about 35 to 40% of their current population were our students.
Sure. And so in terms of this sort of enrollment capability to fill seats, that's always my concern, is where are you going to find the kids, first of all? And so you have a built-in high school population. You showed us it looked like almost 90%, and I'm assuming that would incorporate your 8th graders, current 8th graders would plan to stay. Other recruitment, I mean, what is your plan to fill the rest of those seats to go from 1,080, I guess it was, to like 1,800 over?
So we're very fortunate that actually 18 of our staff members are Spanish speaking, and a lot of our staff members, as well as all of our families, are from the Southwest community. So we have an entire recruitment plan with community events, churches. Most of it is grassroots, honestly. It's door to door, showing up in person. Our population, mailers, things like that aren't something. We've done Spanish radio before, but actually most of our results come from just talking to people in the community. Now, I want to preface with, we haven't done that in a while because we're out of space and we haven't needed to do that in a while. Our leased building, we were busting at the seams, so we didn't do any enrollment or recruiting. And then we did our leased building, and then we filled that up with no recruiting, just word of mouth. And then now we're full again. So it's not something we've really had to do, and nor have we wanted to do, because we wouldn't have a place to put them. Since this Monday, we've taken our lead office manager, who has a lot of relationships. We've put a new person in the office, and she's in charge of enrollment now. So she has 10 different parents that she's recruited, they've created an entire plan of preschools, door-to-door, community events, and just going to reach out and talk to people. We also have 3 years of alumni that would be interested in high school, so we're going to contact all our alumni from all previous years, which is about 70 each year, and let them know, that this is an option for them as well.
So I'm probably gonna let somebody else hop in.
Okay.
Okay. So
I only have like 10 more questions.
That's okay. So I'm gonna just make a note, and I'm gonna let somebody else hop in, and then we'll come back around. Okay. So Ms. Stewart.
Yes. First off, thank you so much for the thorough presentation. Hats off on what you all have accomplished so far.
Thank you.
Great results in Southwest. I just had a couple of questions. Dr. Bacon asked several of them, so thank you for that. So obviously you have had excellent results. And then I was particularly interested in the disciplinary piece of it, and appreciated the fact that you included the expulsions and suspensions, because we know that is a driving factor, towards failure or success for folks as they're moving out of K-12 education. So knowing that, when you're adding high school, what is the plan there with a unique population?
So thank you for asking. So we work with Safe and Civil Schools. So Safe and Civil Schools is a positive behavior reinforcement system. A lot of it is actually what Principal Wilson said, which was proactive versus reactive. Just set up every scenario, what could possibly happen, and make sure it doesn't happen before it happens. And so school structures, how you hand in papers, every detail, traffic patterns within a classroom, traffic patterns within the school, who's monitoring. So Safe and Civil Schools actually started with a high school model called CHAMPS, and then they built the model down. We're using the elementary school model, so as soon as every few years, you bring in a different outside vendor and you contract with them to do professional development. So they haven't been to our school recently, but we actually had them scheduled for this summer. So Monday we called and we're like, so we need a high school trainer now. So we're gonna be working with Safe and Civil Schools. They've already secured a high school trainer for us to come in, and we'll reinstate, it's going to be a different model than's currently employed right now. So it'll be a learning curve for all the teachers. And I say the teachers because that's where it falls on, right? Is administration and teachers, not the students. So if we set the structure, then the students will fall into it. So we'll be using Safe and Civil Schools.
Okay, well, and that is a good point. So you'll be starting that right now as, folding AMFRA in. Is
Yeah.
that
Yes,
what you're
the
saying?
professional development is set up for July 23rd and 24th in the summer,
Okay.
and we'll roll it out. Right now, we're keeping all kind of procedures intact at AMFRA and just working with their team to execute the rest of the year.
Okay, yeah, and we've touched on communication previously with current staff and families in that, with AMFRA, but thinking about that from the teacher perspective, what is that gonna look like come next school year for your high school?
So there'll be more students, so there'll be a recruitment, right? So we'll be recruiting some teachers in addition to the AMFRA teachers. However, many of our middle school teachers are high school certified.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that to kind of help bridge the culture over, to get a couple key pillars inside the high school to kind of say, this is how we do it. Like, this is what it looks like with our school. So that will be a main thing that happens. We did sit down on Monday and meet with the AMFRA teachers and talk to them about the transition, any questions, let them know that there wouldn't be any lapse in their insurance and their pay, and that we would be there to help support them. We have had a member of our team on staff every day working with them, and then we have one-on-one meetings scheduled with everybody, just to make sure that everyone understands and is working collectively together to support the children.
Well, I'm sure that's appreciated, and kind of a little bit of upheaval. So thinking about staff from a teacher quality aspect, what is your philosophy on certification? And you talked about ESL. I'm assuming SPED as well. So can you talk me through that a little bit?
Yes, I'm going to have our Director of Teaching and Learning answer that question because that's his #1 job.
Excellent.
Thank you for the question. Isaiah Cosio, Director of Teaching and Learning. So our push this year and last year, we partnered with the peer network to start getting teacher leaders to train some of our other teachers, but also additionally, we received a grant that was focused on recruiting and retention. And the basis for that was an emphasis on certification. So even our current application has been modified to emphasize that, hey, we want to make sure you have a certification. We know that we have a waiver for it, but we really know that that is something we're going to have. Our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Thomas, has talked a lot about, hey, eventually that may not exist anymore or for us. And so making sure that every one of our teachers is on some sort of pathway as well to get certification. And right now, when we have already started receiving applications for SPED and for ELL, and the ones that we received already have that certification. And so we're trying to make sure that we're contacting those people as quickly as possible. I think it was 2 weeks ago, we received a list of candidates that are just graduated. So we jumped on that, made sure that we looked at also the ones that speak Spanish. So we're really trying to be targeted and get on it as quickly as possible.
Excellent, thank you, that's very helpful. Got one last question, super quick. So I appreciated you mentioning, you wanted to honor AMFRA's, kind of charter with military and first responders. I know, it's close to Dr. Moore's heart. It's close to mine as well. If you could expand a little bit on what that might look like as you move into, the new school year.
So versus being an entire military school, it will be a pathway. So it won't be like an extracurricular activity after school. I think people were worried that it would be minimized to that. It's not. It's going to be a pathway. So there'll be a military pathway as well as a JROTC pathway.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Baldwin?
Welcome to the committee. The panel, we're excited to talk to you all. You have a lot going on.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
all that. I'm kind of the resident banker, so I'm asking a lot of banking questions.
Okay. We'll get my
Yeah.
business manager ready to go.
Let me kind of ask a question that's already been asked from a different perspective. So if you were looking out 5 years from now, and you had everything the way you want it to be, tell us about what buildings you would have, and where your students would be, and what buildings you would have debt on or rent on.
Okay. So I predict, if I was reading the future, that in 5 years from now, I actually think we'll be at full enrollment at 1880. The demand that we're getting from the community is so aggressive already. Now, what I submitted to you was a very conservative budget. It was only at full enrollment in 5 years was only 1,400, because I figured originally it would be a slow rollout, and it's turning out that I don't think it will be. So if what I think will probably happen is in 5 years from now, we will have the AMFRA facility still. That will probably be the senior high, 10 through 12. And we'll use our current building as the junior high, 7 through 9. And then we will have Cloverdale as our elementary. That's what I think will happen. We don't have those financial obligations at this time, and we will not take on those financial obligations unless the enrollment demand insists on it.
So the only building that you would have debt on would be your elementary school, Cloverdale.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So in the package you provided, the Hathaway Group purchase agreement, I guess, for the building,
Yes,
and that's $1.9 million, so that's
coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed on that in principle. And then the Equitable Facilities Fund is gonna loan you $7.4 million. So the difference is gonna be all the renovation work that you need to do.
All renovation. There's a lot of renovation that needs to be done, yes.
Okay, and the $5.5 million renovation, you feel pretty good about that you've had, and I guess my question is who has helped you determine that that's the right amount?
Yeah.
I've done a lot of old building renovations, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 times what you think initially, so I just wanna ask that question to make sure you're comfortable that this is enough.
Yes. So we've actually worked with 2 different contracting groups because we wanted to ensure that we came in at the right number. And both contracting groups, with the scope of work, did extensive due diligence. So we've actually had double the due diligence done with multiple vendors. And it's interesting because both contracting groups, some of them contacted the same vendors, and they're like, we just did this. But anyways, so we've had 2 bids. We're very comfortable with it. Now, the renovation project, $5 million, is not going to get a shiny, gorgeous, beautiful facility. But it is a conservative renovation project that's going to make the building safe, and it's going to make sure that it's fully functional for us, and that we can afford it. Now, I could go in and spend, $20,000 on a renovation project, but we're choosing to minimize the scope to safety and then lighting, basically.
Okay. In looking at the Equitable Facilities Fund term sheet, and I guess you're gonna move to definitive agreement, financing agreement here probably after we talk today.
This is part of it, yes, definitely.
The interest rate they're giving you is really a good rate.
Yeah.
I looked at the Fed prime rate right now is 7.5%, and you're been offered 4.25. So so that's interesting to me. Talk a little bit about the facilities fund, how you found them, how they found you, and how involved they are with charter schools, and do they understand what they're basically what they're getting into.
They're a national organization, and the entire purpose of the organization is to fund charter schools at low rates and successful charter schools. So it's an extensive process. I think we have filled out everything, data going back 5 years on student performance, data going back on discipline, same schools comparisons. They've come out and visited the school. We've had leadership meetings. We've been working with them for over 6 months. So it's an extensive process. They pride themselves on not having anybody lapse, so nobody defaulting. Well, I know why. The process is extremely rigorous, and only people who really are guaranteed to be successful are going to work with them. So that's what we've been doing. I want to say that I've enjoyed the process. Although it's been really rigorous and a lot of work, it's made us better. A lot of the things that they've asked us for, and that our succession plans and things that, you know, we have org charts and things like that, but I'm like, well, we didn't actually have a formal written succession plan. So we wrote one and we met together. So it's been a really good process.
Okay. Sounds like they're a partner. You see them as a partner, not just a lender.
Yes.
So that's good. Do you have, so they're representing their side of the deal in partnership with you, but still they have their side. Do you have financial consultants, advisors helping you also on your side to make sure everything moves?
Yes, we've been working with APSRC as well as board members that have banking background as well. But we've have people that have been working together. We've also gone down another track at the same time because EFF is such a rigorous selection process. I thought, well, I didn't want to get all the way down this track, and then they say no, you know, they don't select us. So the people who currently hold our bonds on our building that we're purchasing right now is First Security Bank and Cruz and Associates. And so we've gone down the track with Cruz and Associates as well, and they've also issued us a term sheet, and so that we have options in case. Now, obviously that one's a little higher, and but it's still security in case something happens.
Yes.
And if that does happen, what we'll probably do is minimize the scope of work so that the payment is still reasonable.
Okay. What banks are represented on your board? You said you had 2 bankers.
We have First Security, and where's Kevin? What? First State Bank of Lone Oak.
Okay, good. So 2 good banks. I see Mr. Smith back here, and I'm excited that you are using them also as your financial advisors.
Yes.
And I know that he has information about other grant support, philanthropic support, and I see he's coming up now. Would you mind if he talked to us about that? Because I think that is part of my question. You all are being asked to do a lot with AMFRA. I mean, that was a surprise to you probably. And so we're laying that on top of you in addition to everything that you want to do. And I just think you need people to help you that are philanthropic in nature. So is that happening?
Madam Chair, members of the panel, Scott Smith with Marksville Public School Resource Center. I just received confirmation during the course of the hearing that that EXALT has also been approved for an expansion grant from the Walton Family Foundation for $1.5 million. They've also are looking at providing them gap support for the transition costs to some degree with regards to AMFRA on that transition there. And then they also have a grant into us on a CSP grant. That's the Federal Charter Support Grant. And that decision will be made tomorrow. I can't say for sure, but I feel confident because we have as many grants available as there are a number of applicants out there right now. And that grant is up to $1.25 million. So there's additional dollars of support that are coming to play to try and help support this expansion and the transition that's taking place as well.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Moore?
I've got one more.
Oh, sorry. I just lost all control.
Okay, so that's good. Now, just really one question on your budget. I appreciate that you have put all this together. And does this include AMFRA, or is this all the numbers before AMFRA? So
All the
AMFRA,
numbers before AMFRA,
so
yes.
you're gonna go back and do some more
Mhm,
budgeting?
we're going to. I met with the business manager on that. Do you want to speak to it, or do you want me to? You go ahead. Yeah. You can see that there's large balances, right, as we get through we have no intentions of hoarding that money. The intentions are investing that money into the programs and possibly facilities. So that's what we'll be doing.
Okay, that's my last question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody can get back in, I promise. Okay, Dr. Moore.
So thank you so much for your presentation, and you're obviously very knowledgeable of every single facet of your campuses. So that's highly impressive. The growth scores were amazing. And I'm so, having gone around the state and talked so much about the new merit and distinction diplomas, it's great to see someone actually talking about them and understanding them and all that. And I did, pardon if you saw me text a moment ago, but I confirmed with, and Dr. Rock McMurray may be saying this when it gets to her since she's our CTE person, but I confirmed with Ross, the director of CTE, that ROTC will be an H2 pathway. It's being added to the list.
Yay,
So
that's wonderful.
that is super exciting
That
since you will have
is.
students going through that. There'll be that
Yay.
many more students that can get merit distinction. So that's wonderful news for that group of students. So I did have, a lot of my questions were answered already because of the great questions from the panel. I was trying to understand when you talked about your vision 5 years from now about grades 7 through 9 being at your current campus, and so not having grade 9 at AMFRA. What's the rationale for that?
A lot of our 8th graders are also taking high school credits, and I think that teacher roles, basically utilizing the same teachers for 8th and 9th grade for that transition. So that's what we are looking at, is just trying to be as frugal as possible on course offerings.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And then you mentioned offering all these CT pathways as well as having concurrent credit opportunities. How do you intend on finding teachers that are qualified to teach those courses?
You're up, friend.
I'm Dennis Matlock. My voice is hoarse because of the pollen. I'm sorry about that. Dennis Matlock. I'm the GT and CTE coordinator at Exalt Academy. For the hiring of the positions that we're looking at, we are looking to build from our community. We have some RNs and some people who are already retired professional members. And with them, we'll just get technical permits, and we've already established a connection with the division of CTE with Mr. Johnston, like Ms. Long was saying. I'm sorry about my voice, guys.
Oh, you're fine.
And we're looking very distinctly, thank you, at making sure that those credentials, those technical permits, are absolutely there and present. With the AMFRA's already present CTE pathways, the Marine JROTC. They already have 2 military instructors that are qualified through the Marine Department. So that would be, that department is already ready and running. The others will be through technical permits. And then we also, for some of the more advanced credentials, we will have a pathway with a partnership with Pulaski Tech to make sure that they get those certifications for the credentials for those. Our big goal, by the way, is to make sure that all of this is taking place within our school, trying to utilize as little outside courses as possible. There will be gaps for students who transfer as juniors and seniors, and so if we have to meet those gaps with Virtual Arkansas, we will, but our first and primary focus is to hire and have employees work at the school.
Okay. And you primarily mentioned CT. Is that, when you say advanced credentials, are you also talking about concurrent for core academic
Yes, ma'am.
courses?
For the
Okay.
concurrent.
And Pulaski Tech will be your partner for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If I remember, AMFRA already has a concurrent agreement with them at the moment.
Okay. I'm looking at my notes because I do think most of my questions have been answered. I did want to also just applaud your student and family surveys and your engagement in the community, asking what they wanted. I think that's very important. And like, wow, the universe lining up for Cloverdale to be right next to you. I mean, that's incredible. So no more questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Dr. Bashir Duncan.
Yes, thank you. This is Dr. Bashir Duncan with the Office of Innovation. Dr. Moore and Exalt staff, thank you so much for this presentation and being prepared to answer so many questions, especially given all that's on your plate right now and the changes since last week. So my question, you've answered probably 75% of that in pieces as far as the specific actions that you all are taking. So my question really is more about the process. Would you or staff please speak high level about your long-range planning with your stakeholders, especially given that what you honor and the vision that has been successful continues. So high level, timeline, planning process, perhaps the next 5 years, and what that looks like with stakeholders.
Thank you for that question. I think that's really important. So stakeholders go from our children, right? All the way from our parents to community members, and then partnerships. So currently in our K-8 environment, we have partnerships with a multitude of organizations around us, specifically that serve the Hispanic community. So we have a partnership with Mama Sanitas. We have a partnership with the Excel Center. Actually, many of our parents are actually taking classes at the Excel Center, earning their high school diploma. And we're really excited about that, as well as language classes that are coming. We have partnerships with banks that are coming in and doing financial literacy workshops with our parents and organizations, as well as Hispanic pastors in the community coming in and helping with their wraparound services and resources into our school. So that's something that's really important to us. Expanding upon those partnerships going into the high school, into the CT world is going to be new for us, but we already are so rooted in the community that I don't think it's going to be something like, who are you guys? You know, I think that will be really welcomed. I know that our CTE director, that's a new role for him now, right? So he was GT and ELA, and we're transitioning his ELA coaching responsibilities to someone else so that he can be very dedicated to making sure that those partnerships are established. We also have a new director coming on board with us who has a lot of experience in CT and actually running CTE schools as well. So, Jared, would you like to come up?
Hello, panel. Jared DePriest, and I am the Director of High School Planning. And I worked at Eastham for a while as a principal, an assistant dean of staff services, a director, and then I had the opportunity to work in North Little Rock on MacArthur, opened a vocational school for construction trades. It was called Diamond State Vocational School. So Dr. Moore, Dr. Wright McMurray, if the name Jared DePriest sounds familiar, we have exchanged emails before. And Dr. Bacon, we worked together at Eastham. So I was able to build connections there. I think that the continued education part of the CTE piece is a large part of what makes it successful. So not just the connections and the partnerships that you make while these students are in high school, but what happens when they're done. And it's hard to make those connections without the approval of panels like this. But I'm not gonna talk about the Be Pro, Be Proud stats, that the gap between skilled trade workers that are graduating and the rate at which those who will replace them, or retiring, skilled trade workers are retiring, and the rate at which we're training young people to replace them is terrifying to me. I was devastated that we couldn't really finish out Diamond State the way that we wished we could have, but With a charter school model, we can. And I did some work with Division of Workforce Services with Cody Waits. I worked with the Director of Communications over there, Miss Zoe Calkins. I did work with Dr. Hamby for a while, and I learned a lot from all of them. But like I said, what I learned most importantly, I think, when creating those relationships is that when you shake someone's hand and you say, this is a deal and we're going to do this, there needs to be security on both ends of that handshake. And so until this panel is comfortable approving these amendments, we don't feel that it would be ethically responsible to start really solidifying those connections. Does that answer the question?
It sounds like previous successes that have helped you all really be successful and see the growth that you've had, along with the changes, revisions, additional partners and supports that you'll need in place, that you all are considering those both short-term and long-term. And given your scale, Dr. Long, you had mentioned seeing that you would reach your cap within 5 years. And so that's really what inspired me to ask that question, was given that you see that happening within 5 years, it's almost a doubling of your current enrollment, how you're planning to scale that. We know that a long-range plan for scaling is important, as well as the things you get put on your plate on a Wednesday that you need to be able to talk about on a Monday. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. And I do feel confident about the ambitious goals, but I want the panel to know that we are planning conservatively as well. So we can scale up slowly we don't need, if it's a new school startup, you need a certain amount of enrollment to sustain. We're able to sustain already. So I think that's just important to know, that we will scale according to the enrollment and not get ahead of ourselves.
Thank you. So keeping that long-range ambitious plan in place and taking conservative action now based on what's available.
Correct.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you.
Dr. Bacon?
I have more than enough information to make a decision. I have no more questions.
Okay. Okay, well, I do have a couple questions. So I know that you've been visiting with Mr. Johnson about your CTE plan, and now that you're moving things up a year, so you were going to do 26, 27, now we're looking at this fall. Which CTE pathways do you plan to implement for this fall?
Okay, for this fall, we plan on Dennis Matlock, GT and CTE coordinator. For this fall, we plan on implementing architectural CAD with engineering, and then banking and finance, and the nursing pathway. We feel like if you guys didn't approve, we would still be able to hold those on our current campus. If you do approve, that also means that there is space and resources that we can do that at AMPRA by additionally including their Marine JRTC program and the first responder program.
Okay.
So it'll be,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yes ma'am, that would be a total of 5, 3 for us and the inclusion of 2 from AMPRA. That's right, that's our year 1 plan. And then gradually, as our student population and need, as we can further refine that, we can establish more pathways if needed.
Okay. So I know banking and finance is like an easier lift because
Yes, ma'am.
you can just have a computer lab for that one.
Right.
But did you say architecture and
Yes, ma'am.
construction, or
No, ma'am.
just
No,
architecture?
not construction yet.
Okay.
Within 3 or 4 years, there is a high demand for that one. That one's going to take a lot of resources to build the constructional lab and all the stuff that we want to do with the workshop. So that's going to take it maybe 3 years down the road to get that planned and thought out and built.
Okay.
But we're looking at architecture and engineering, banking and finance, and then the nursing pathway.
Okay. And so the nursing pathway, is that going to be offered directly from your campus, or do you plan to partner with like a secondary center or somewhere else to be able to do that? What is the plan for that?
It would be a program that we offer at our campus, especially for the CNA portion of that pathway. I believe we can do that within our building. But some of the more additional ones like LPN pathway, that would be part where we would have to partner up with one of the hospitals.
And so do you anticipate there will be partnerships that will support you being able to have the appropriate staff on campus for the nursing pathway? Because, you know, the CNA instructor qualifications can get a bit tricky. And so
Right.
that's why I was kind of wondering, I know you're visiting with Mr. Johnston, but I don't know if you guys have talked through that piece of it.
Right, and one of the things we're looking at initially is to make sure that we get the DCTE to come down and look at our campuses, both of them, to make sure we have space and where we can, physically hold these programs. In terms of hiring, like I was saying, we do have RNs on staff, so we could do some of the technical permits and some of the other complicated certifications with them.
Okay. And so just for my clarification,
Yes, ma'am.
I know, so you've been working with Mr. Johnston, and so currently you're going to be responsible for CTE, but
Yes,
then
ma'am.
also we have an additional person. So once this is starting to get fleshed out, who's going to be the responsible person for CTE oversight for your campus?
It'll be my responsibility ultimately. He's kind of my backup guy, and he has a lot of connections with construction especially.
Okay. And then last question. So I guess I just need a little bit of clarification. I know we had our meeting on Monday where you guys took over, the term was the contract for AMFRA. But in listening to conversation today and kind of talking through some other pieces, on Monday, I think when I asked the clarifying question, the question that I asked, so is this permanent, or we're just doing like a temporary to make sure that teachers and students can be taken care of? But it sounded like this is a permanent solution that has been resolved. And is that a part of this process, or was that all decided to be permanent when we did our vote on Monday? And you may not be the best person to respond to that. They may have to have legal or either the charter office to come and clarify that for me.
Yes, I think that would definitely be them. As far as the students are concerned, I want to be an option for them long-term.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Darrell Smith, Department of
Do I need
Education.
to ask my question again?
Would you please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I have been there. So my question is, when we had our discussion and we voted on Monday, when I know that one of the clarifying questions that I asked at the wrap-up was, this is our option for a temporary fix to take care of students and staff and faculty that needed to be paid, resourced, all of that. But from listening to today's testimony and comments, this is seeming to be a permanent fix for that situation, because it seems as if that long-term plans are already including facilities, building, all of that to fill the gap of this amendment request, which initially it was Cloverdale, but now it's AMFRA, and now Cloverdale is kind of going to be, sounds like the second or third option as it's brought forward. So I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around where are we right now?
Where is all this going?
Yes,
Yeah,
with
I
this
got you.
piece.
I got you. Now I'm caught up with you, so we're
Okay,
good.
thank you.
So I think the plan at this point is that obviously the existing contract that was transferred over to them on Monday would extend through the remainder of the school year to like June 30th. At that point, we'll probably try to revoke that one and rescind it and move that one out of the way. Upon an affirmative vote today, when you guys add the new 912 to their current charter, that will take care of their long-term plan with AMFRA. So that will move them under that contract. The other vote today is always to take the new location for the Cloverdale building. So with all your votes today, we're setting them up to have everything under their new contract for K-12, which would then allow them to have the multiple locations that they've been discussing through this presentation. And then we will then move that existing contract that was transferred over to them here on Monday out of the way, and so that will no longer exist, and everything will be under this new contract that we're voting on today. Does that make sense? Kinda?
Kind of.
So basically, we're trying to work, there's a sequence of events that has to happen. So what we're trying to get through today is give them approval to change their current charter and put all the pieces in place. To get the Cloverdale campus under their charter, even though that sounds like that's still a year away before they're actually gonna move into it. But we wanna get that ready to go, get the building set for them, put it under their charter so they can begin to do the things they need to do to prepare for a year from now to move the students around as they were talking about. They also, what we wanna do is go ahead and clear the way for them to start their 9-12 program, right? But start it under their current charter as opposed to this other contract that was out there, right? Even though they technically have, right now they technically have a high school because of what happened on Monday, and they'll finish that contract out under the AMFRA just to kind of, make sure there's a good transition process for that, so there was no disruption for the students there. Once we have gotten through the school year and we can kind of clear that out, then we'll legally kind of move that contract out of the way and just get rid of it, so that we can just function on one charter, a K-12 charter with the 2 new locations already approved by you guys.
Okay. So they will or not need to come back in front of us to
We may need
piece.
to just rescind the current contract, the current AMFRA part of that contract, because they'll need to because that one still actually goes through, doesn't expire for another 3 years. So we'll have to go ahead and they'll have to voluntarily rescind that contract to move it out. This one will already be in place, and as we're getting all the pieces in place, that we can easily be transferred over to the AMFRA, to the Exalt piece, the charter that they currently have. So it's just we're voting on everything now to get everything ready, to get everything set up under their new charter. Under their current charter. We'll let this one live for another 3 months, and then we'll move it out of the way, and then that one will have zero impact on them from that forward, because everything will be under their new charter, their current charter at that point. Your turn.
So if the amendment request about adding a new campus, would that need to include Cloverdale's current location, but also the current AMFRA location as a location under their charter?
Yes, so I think there's 3, we'll have 3 votes, right? The first vote will be to their new location for Cloverdale. That's that 6-8. I think that's changed a little bit, but there's that 6 that will add that new location for the Cloverdale. Then the second vote would be to expand their charter to 9-12, which would then also include, right now we're going to extend their charter, right, to just give them the 9-12. We won't include the AMFRA building piece of that yet until we can clear out the other contract, but we're going to give them the pathway to do that, so that when they exist then obviously the location chain will be there. If that makes sense. Right now what we're doing is we're extending, we're giving them permission to start a high school under their current charter. And that's what this vote's gonna be, not necessarily to move their location yet, since they already have one.
So at some point, we're gonna need to revoke AMFRA's charter.
Correct.
And they're gonna need to.
And they'll come back and add the
location
campus.
to their charter.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
And that'll happen probably in June.
Okay.
They'll come back and revoke that charter and then request a location change for their newly voted on 9-12 school, high
And
school.
is there a vote on increasing the
And
enrollment cap?
the enrollment cap, that's the
Okay.
third one. So if you if you do them in sequence that way, then it'll kind of make sense. Like, we'll give them their 6-8, we'll give them their Cloverdale campus, we'll approve their 9-12 presentation, and then we'll also approve their enrollment cap.
So when we have the vote on new campus, new building, we're only referencing
The Cloverdale right now, correct.
AMFRA is not a part of that
Not at this time.
at this time.
I mean, obviously, the plan is for in 2 months from now to come back and we'll just add that location to their current contract.
So as we stand today on what we know they have access to today, the plans that you have for your CTE pathways can be completed through just the Cloverdale campus. So you would not need to have access to the Amfra campus for anything that you've presented today. And the reason I'm asking that is because technically if I'm understanding it correctly, and it's becoming a stretch, but if I understand that correctly, you technically don't have access to Amfra right now.
Well, they do. I mean,
Past June 30.
Well, they technically have access to Amfra for 3 more years under this current contract. The one that we gave them, or that you guys approved for them on Monday, that contract doesn't expire till for 2027, I think, right? So they could conceivably continue to operate a high school under the contract that we gave them on Monday, that we transferred to them.
Okay.
But in order to make sure that they have all the same waivers and they're under the same model and we're under the same charter, so they're not operating under 2 completely different contracts, what we're gonna do is let them continue to operate under the newly provided contract for the remainder of this school year. So that just makes life easy for our finance office and making sure that there's the least amount of disruption on that campus. But at the same time, giving them all the votes that they need under their current contract, all the amendments, so that the next step would be when we revoke that one, we just move the campus over into this new contract. So we're giving them everything in their current contract, in their current charter. We're amending that to do everything except put the new building in it, because they already have a contract for that. So they're operating under 2 contracts. Then what we're gonna do in June is then revoke that contract, rescind it, so we'll get that out of the way, and then move the building basically over into their current, so it'd be another amendment to their current charter to move the building back under under their current charter.
Okay.
So we're kind of playing a little shell game here.
Can I ask a follow-up question
Yes,
about
Dr.
that?
Moore, go ahead.
So I thought I understood, and I'm still supportive of everything, but just a little clerical thing, logistics. So this school year, finishing up as is. You're not adding anything with Amfra, they're finishing up. Next school year, because when you mentioned about having 9th graders over at your other location, that was when you were saying your 5-year plan. So just this very next school year, will the building where Amfra is, it will no longer be called Amfra next school year. It'll be Exalt Academy, high school. Will it still have 9-12 then?
Yes, so it will then. It only in 5 years when we're fully at 1800 will that. So yes.
Okay.
Next year, 9 through 12 will be at the former Amfra campus.
Okay.
And I wanted to clarify something because it might have been a misunderstanding. When I said the construction project for Cloverdale will take an entire year to complete, there are 3 different wings of the building. So one portion of the Cloverdale campus we will actually be able to access this fall. So it will take an entire year to complete, but we'll be able to utilize one portion of the building that is like phase 1 that will be done early. I just didn't want to have a misconception that no one would be in that building for an entire year.
Okay, that helps, thank you.
And when we vote on the cap, we're voting on 1080, right? 1080, we're not voting on 1800 or
1800,
It is
we already have 1080.
Okay, that's
Yes.
right, yeah. Okay. I guess, so you have 775 students and your cap's 1080 right now.
Yes, because our capacity, we're out of capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So since we're talking about the cap, did that change with the Amfra stuff? So the 1800 is inclusive of all the things that have just happened on Amfra. You don't want more.
The Amfra cap is separate and that will go away. So we wanted our cap to be enough to accommodate all of those children, which is why we're asking for 1880.
Okay.
clarification. Okay. Are there any other questions from any members of the panel? So I
No
know that
further-
we will have 3 amendments that we'll have to do separately. Is it the desire of the panel office that we just use the one voting sheet for the entire process? Because I don't think there's separate ones.
We added 3. I think there's 3 voting sheets now. I think, well, maybe
If you
in this
refresh,
process, there
there's
should be
an
3
add-on.
now.
So you have to refresh it? Okay.
Yeah. We'll make it a little bit easier on you.
Oh, there it is.
We need that for this because there's a lot of moving pieces.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, so we do have 3 amendments that we'll be voting on separately. If I can get back over. Okay, yes. So if there's no further questions, then there are 3. The first one that I'm seeking a motion on is the amendment request number 1, which is to relocate the existing grade levels 6 through 8 to a new campus and to add a new building. Well, I guess we'll wait a second. Do we have?
Can you check the settings, please? Oh wait, it looks like I just refreshed.
Okay.
Never mind, thank you.
Is there something, well, I guess before we take the motion, is there anything else we need to be aware of? No, ma'am, I think we're fine. Okay, all right, good. Okay, so I will accept a motion. Again, the amendment request to relocate the existing grade levels 6 through 8 to a new campus and to add a new campus or building.
I move that we approve the amendment request to move to a new campus location for 6 through 8 in the new building.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Dr. Moore, second by Ms. Stewart. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Indicate by, if you're opposed, by saying nay. Any abstentions?
And Sonia, it takes just a moment when we're in the voting sheet to get back to the unmute button, just FYI.
Okay, no problem. I didn't count you as a nay. Okay, all right, so if we can go to our voting sheets and vote on amendment request number 1. Okay, Dr. Moore?
I approve the amendment request for a new campus location, the additional facilities in such close proximity as ideal to meet the capacity needs of current and anticipated future students and families.
Okay, Ms. Stewart?
I approve the request for approval for a location change in addition to the Cloverdale campus to allow for Exalt Academy's continued growth and ability to serve the community.
Okay. Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve the new campus due to its proximity to the current school location, past use as a public school facility, and the associated creative financial planning process in place.
Dr. Bashir Duncan?
Given Exalt's success and planning process, work with community and stakeholders, I am in support of request of the relocation plan and new campus.
And Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I support the addition of a new campus located at 6300 Dixon Road. In Little Rock, the former Cloverdale School, the additional campus facilitates the needed expansion of educational services, including future high school grade levels. The demand and student need of these services is strong and has good community support.
And I voted for. I support the motion to allow Exalt Academy to relocate the existing grade levels 6 through 8 to a new campus and add new campus building. Okay, thank you. All right, so second amendment that we need to vote on today is in regards to enrollment caps. So I will now accept a motion on the request of Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock to increase the enrollment cap by 800 from its existing 1,080 to 1,880.
I move to increase the enrollment cap of Exalt Academy to 1,880.
Second.
I second.
So I have a motion by Ms. Stewart, a second by Dr. Bacon. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, ayes have it, motion passes, and please go to your voting sheets. Dr. Bashir Duncan?
Yes.
Do you want to share how you voted?
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I vote in favor of the request to increase the enrollment cap of 1,080 students to 1,880 students due to Exalt's 5-year plan and the information for renovations and scale offered in their presentation and response to questions. Thank you.
Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I support the amendment request to increase the enrollment cap for Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock from 1080 to 1880 to allow for needed student expansion.
Okay. Ms. Stewart?
I vote to approve the request to increase Exalt Academy enrollment cap from 1080 to 1880 as they continue to grow and serve the community of Southwest Little Rock.
Okay. Dr. Moore?
I vote to approve Exalt Academy's request to increase their enrollment cap to 1,880 to meet the expressed interests and demands of the community.
Okay. And Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve an increase in the enrollment cap to 1,880 students, as I believe this will allow the ability to serve students in high school grades per the proposed plan.
Okay. And then the last amendment request that we have for Exalt Academy today is in reference to changing their grade levels. So I will now accept a motion on the request of Exalt Academy of Southwest Little Rock to change the grade levels served from K-8 to K-12, beginning in 2025-2026 school year.
I move to approve the request to expand the charter to serve grades K through 12 in the 25-26 school year, beginning in the 25-26 school year.
Second.
Second.
Okay. A motion by Dr. Moore, a second by Mr. Baldwin. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, please go to your voting sheets. Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I support the amendment request to add grades 9 through 12 to Exalt Academies of Southwest Little Rock, creating a K through 12 scope of educational services for students.
Okay. Ms. Stewart?
I vote to approve the Exalt Academy request to expand their charter to serve students in grades 9 through 12 due to current outstanding performance and growth scores and the needs of the community with these particular grade levels.
Okay. Dr. Moore?
I vote to approve Exalt Academy's request to expand their charter to serve students in grades K through 12 beginning in the 25-26 school year. The charter's proven performance, including student academic growth and exceptional school climate, along with their thorough future planning, demonstrates a readiness to serve high school students.
Okay. Dr. Bacon?
I vote to approve the expansion to serve grades K-12 due to a past record of incredible success in student academic growth, solid leadership from Tina Long and her experienced team, and the opportunity to provide continuing educational services to the community in Southwest Little Rock.
Okay. Dr. Bashir Duncan?
I am in favor of the request to expand Exalt's charter to serve students in grades 9 through 12 based on their track record and continued stakeholder engagement in the planning process.
Okay. And I voted for. I support the motion to change the grade levels served from K-8 to K-12 beginning in academic year 2025. Okay.
Madam Chair, thank you, and panel at large, we take it very seriously. We thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you guys so much for your presentation. It was a great presentation. It was great to hear from everyone, and from the CTE side of it, we look forward to working with you guys to getting that up and going. And it's going to be a great addition to your charter. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, before you adjourn, may I ask one that Mr. Schultz would like to introduce you to some of his new legal counsel who will be joining us in future CAP meetings.
Okay. We haven't run you away, Mr. Schultz.
I have enjoyed getting familiar with this process.
Enough is enough.
No, it's interesting. It's a great process. However, we do have to do some delegation, unfortunately. But luckily for you, we have our new associate counsel, Labria Brown.
Hello, hello.
Hello, it's nice to meet you.
She'll be kind of taking on the charter portfolio and principally be working with y'all in the future moving forward. So just wanted you to have a chance to meet her. And
I look forward to working with y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet
Thank
you.
Look forward to it.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you,
Welcome
and
aboard.
thank you for the invitation, we appreciate that, or the introduction. Okay, so is there any further business that we need to entertain before we do a motion to adjourn? Looking, don't see any, okay, great. So I will now entertain a motion to adjourn,
I move we adjourn.
okay?
Second.
Okay, so a motion by Mr. Baldwin, a second by Dr. Bashir Duncan, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.